Today is July 13, 2013, and my name is Veronica Lamas. I am doing a short interview with Emmanuel Melgoza Alfaro, who is an intern with the Boulder County Latino History Project in summer 2013. This interview is being recorded for the Boulder County Latino History Project and the Maria Rogers Oral History Program. The interview is being filmed by Daisy De Luna. Please tell me when and where you were born.
I was born September 15, 1993 in Zamora, Michoacán, Mexico.
Okay. When did your family or earlier relatives come to Colorado?
From what I've known, my dad was the first one in Colorado in 1970, and then there was family also in California, but for the first relative would have been my dad in 1970.
What did he do in 1970?
He was working in restaurants, construction, cleaning offices, whatever he could get his hands on, job-wise, in order for him to send money back to Mexico.
Can you tell me what age you came to Colorado at?
I would say I was probably in the 3rd grade, so I would say 7, 8 years old. I don't know the exact age when I was in the 3rd grade, but I would say when I was like 7 or 8.
Can you tell me how life was in Mexico?
Oh, life in Mexico was different. I felt more free to do a lot of more stuff, being able to walk around the streets, by myself, ride my bike around town, do other things because it was a smaller town, so I could do a lot of things instead of taking buses from here to Boulder or stuff like that, being here in the U.S. But I would say it was more free, more open, more peaceful.
Why did your parents come to the United States?
When my parents came to the United States, when I was in the 3rd grade, that was me and my mom, and then my dad joined us. But he has been here since 1970.
And why? Why did he come?
Well, he came because there was hardly any work in Mexico, and to be able to sustain a family and sustain a house, also it was kind of hard since he was a baker. It was kind of hard since it didn't leave a lot of money. So he decided to come to the U.S. in order to find the American dream, as we still call it or define it differently.
Okay. Has your family stayed in this country or are they still in other countries?
Most of my family is here. My grandparents that lived in Mexico passed away recently, so mainly all my family is in California, Oregon, New Mexico, and Colorado.
Where did you go to school when you were younger?
When I was younger, I went to FMD Elementary School. That's the first school that I attended when I arrived here in Colorado. But before that I was in a Smetley. It was down in 44th and Tejon. But they taught you mostly Spanish. There was not a lot of ESL classes that I was put into, so I didn't learn a lot that first year. So I started learning more English when I went into FMD Elementary School.
Can you tell me about your experiences there?
Well, in Smetley it was different because there was a lot of Latinos that spoke Spanish, so there was a lot of that sense of kind of community because you didn't feel outcasted because of a language barrier or anything like that. A lot of them spoke Spanish, so it was easy for me to talk to them. But during lunch or when I had to talk to a teacher or anything like that, the English barrier was that thing that prevented me from having outside interactions with other students that were not Latinos. But in FMD, it was definitely difficult because it was probably 90% American that spoke English, so it was hard for me to communicate with teachers when I needed to go to the bathroom, where I needed to do something or ask a question or get help in my homework. But luckily there was a high school student who was helping ESL kids, so that's how I was able to break that barrier and start learning English and stuff. So that was an interesting experience.
And where's the school located?
FMA is located on Samuel Drive in Pecos, um, down in Westminster.
And can you tell me about middle school?
Middle school, I went to Scott Carpenter Middle School, just down the street from Samuel Drive, in the other side of Pecos. Um, I was put in ESL classes on sixth grade, and because at home, I was my parents. Well, my parents don't have an English as a other second language, so I'm the one who's always uh, translating documents for calling companies or stuff like that. So I learned by reading books on my own, going to the library, watching a lot of TV like PBS, Arthur, Dragon Tales, stuff like that. That's how I learned English, and just like listening to other people. And then after, we would say like half a semester of sixth grade, I tested out of ESL and was put into normal classes. And then that's from then when I started, advancing more and learning more about English and kind of getting the hang of it. But it was still difficult because I would get good grades, but at the same time I would miss some points because of the confusion of they, their, and those common names that you confuse, or like spelling the words differently, because instead of with an I, with an E, the Spanish kind of kicking in, or the translation, getting lost between those translations kind of made it hard, but I pulled through.
What about high school?
High school was easier, I would say, but at the same time harder, because I went into the International Baccalaureate program, taking kind of like college classes, more advanced, reading a lot of literature books, that were more advanced into like the thinking aspect of it, and like kind of analyzing the literature or history and the math and everything. So it was difficult in that sense, but I had that background of English already established, so it made it easier for me to communicate with the teachers, be able to like write papers, read, and all those different things. I mean, there was at some points that it was hard for me to read some of the books because the vocabulary was way advanced, so I had to like research the word to be able to understand what the content was saying and everything. But I would have to say that by me taking those classes definitely helped me accomplish all the like steps that I went through from like elementary school, middle school, the different struggles and the learning experiences, that I was able to apply those learning experiences in high school and be able to be in the IB program, and then being able to go to college because of that. And I would have to say that IB definitely helped me prepare it, and as well the teachers that were there to support me, since I had them for 4 years. The same teachers, they knew what my learning style was. They knew that I had would struggle in some stuff, so they would definitely help me in that aspect. So those were my experiences for sure. That also culture and the language barrier was definitely big in high school, because it's different living in a multicultural country. It's, cultures get intertwined, and
So how was the environment in high school?
I would have to say that since I was in the IB program, I was definitely um, grouped, or not put into an exclusive kind of group, because I would definitely talk to other kids that were not in IB or AP and stuff like that. But I would have to say that I definitely felt that I was like excluded from like having that experience of the other students that were like in kind of normal classes, that were not in advanced courses or anything like that. So I definitely felt there was some type of exclusivity between that. But at the same time, I felt that that's what I wanted. Not that I wanted to be excluded, but it's like I wanted to achieve higher education and be in that IB program, but as well as like I would also like hang out with my other friends and stuff like that. So it was like kind of like being in the borderlands between two worlds, kind of like the IB, and then like with my friends that had normal classes. So it was different, and like it was also interesting to see like how they would also, my friends that were in kind of not the advanced classes, they would like ask me for help. They would kind of like look up to me. So I thought that was like I felt like in a really unique position to be helping them, because I would help them because, it would be like, I know what it's been to be in that struggle, like when you need someone to help you out, but there's no one there. And I also felt like it was a duty for me to like help them, to be at this, not at the same level as me, but like kind of like put a seed in them and tell them, there's someone that cares about you, someone that there's for you, like when there was no one there for me. So
And what persuaded you to go to college?
I would have to say that just looking at all the struggles that my family has gone through, from in Mexico not having food on the table to not being able to pay bills, or being you having to sell items in order to pay a bill because there's no money, or starting to work at the age of 13. It just made me realize that I don't want to live a life of just like of conformity, just like, okay, I'm okay with just having this, 97 Honda, whatever car. It's like I want something more than that. Being able to like not worried about at the end of the month, like, oh my God, I need to pay bills. Be like, all right, I have that money to pay it, and like not have so much worry, and at the same time also be able to help other students that were in my shoes, have that person that it's like guiding them, like, what do you need help on? It's like, okay, what I did, this is what I did, try it out. If not, I'll talk to someone else, like I want to, I don't know, it just persuaded me to live a different life, not a life of struggle and anything. Because one thing that my parents have told me, it's like, you go to college and it's like you're not the only one who's going. It's like it's the rest of the people that are behind you that have been supporting you all through your struggle. Your teachers before in middle school, elementary, high school, like, all of them. Because if you fail, everybody fails, and it's like if you graduate, it's like you're bringing 10 people with you. It's like that's one thing that drives me. It's like them. It's also about me personally, but it's also of them, because if I let them down, I'm letting myself down.
Did they go to college?
My parents? No. My dad has a 6th grade, education, and my mom has a 2nd grade education. And after that, my dad started working on the family bakery in Mexico, and my mom started helping my grandma with the rest of the kids, which there were 6 kids, so she started helping them cooking, all the different stuff. Especially when you live in a small town, Pueblito, Mexico, it's way different. So they don't have a higher education. Like their English is poorly, so I'm the one who's always having to take care of like the bills, or calling companies and all those things like that. So it's like, being a college student but at the same time trying to like help your family. It's kind of, you have, 20 pounds in your hands and you're trying to like walk a thin line. So it's like, it's really hard to balance that.
Where do you go to school now?
I go to the University of Colorado in Boulder. I'm studying political science and ethnic studies, and a minor in technology, art, and media.
Can you tell me about your experience of being a Latino in Boulder?
Oh, well, I would have to say from my freshman year, it was a different world. It was walking out of one bubble and walking into a different bubble without having no in between preparation. You walk into that campus and it's like boom, 90% white, and like you're used to seeing, walking down the street and then be like, hola, ¿cómo está? Telling that to your neighbors that, speak Spanish and stuff. And like, walking around campus, it's like, hey, how are you? It's way different. The way you interact with them, it's different than the way you interact back at home with your neighbor or your family or anything like that. It's way different. But I would have to say that my freshman year was a really, a 360 change for me. And I think that all through the 3 years that I've been there, it also has been a 360-degree change every year. Because for my freshman year, I didn't like it because I didn't have anybody to turn to. There was nobody there to be like helping me out or anything, because it felt like elementary, middle school, and high school over, because I didn't have a foundation established of who to turn to when I needed help or anything like that. But luckily, I met student groups like MECHA. I met my counselor. She definitely helped me a lot. At some point, I definitely thought of dropping college and just like started working and helping my family. But my family was like, no, you can't. Even my counselor Ceci, she was like, you need to stay. It's like you're the future. So it has been definitely difficult. My freshman year was difficult. My second year, now that I had a foundation established, I was able to go into the student group funding board and the cultures event board. So it's like it has opened up a different door, and a door behind me has closed. So like a new chapter has started. So it's like I feel like I have a voice on campus with being a leader and a future leader in that campus as well. So it's like there's a lot of things that need to be changed, but I feel like one foot is inside the door. Now I just need to put the other one.
Can you tell me about your experiences in Boulder in general?
In Boulder in general, well, I would have to say that you definitely get looked at weird or with some type of face or some type of body language when you're impearled and you're talking Spanish to someone else that speaks Spanish, and obviously the color, your skin color also, you stand out, and it's just, I don't know, it's just really, in a way, it's hard to be looked at, because it's like we're human beings. We're not from a different world. We're the same. We're made of bone and flesh. It's like there's nothing different between us. It's just we speak English, we speak Spanish. There's only that. We live in this multicultural country that I think that if we would just take time and just analyze it, if we could just learn patience and respect to one another, we would look at each other and treat each other differently. If we could just look at everybody in a color that doesn't exist, there wouldn't be any racism in this country.
So, as you look into the future, what would you like to be doing 10 years from now?
Oh boy. I would want to be doing the things that are here that I want to do in the future, but I can't say that's what I'll be doing. I don't know if I'll be a graduate student, working for my PhD, working, because your plans change every day. I want at 8 a.m. you could be like, this is what I'm going to be doing, and then by 9 a.m. and you're like, I can't do that. I need to move my schedule around. But one thing that I can definitely say is that I will definitely be in grad school somewhere in California, or here. It all depends, as how my brother says, you just move the chess pieces around and everything will fall into place, and you won't have to work a lot of pieces around. Everything will fall into your plan of what you want to do. So hopefully I will, get that paid for, I don't know, working something, having the things that I've always wanted, for sure, but at the same time helping the community. That's the most important thing, because if how I said, if you graduate, you bring 10 with you, and those 10 they bring other 10. So it's just like working your way up, way up into being able to like plant that seed into to the next generation, which is the next future. Which everybody's the next future, but then there's another future behind us. So it's you have to keep educating those futures.
So do you think that being Latinos will affect you to achieve your goals?
I don't think so. But one thing I would have to work twice as hard in order to be able to be in that position that someone with resources can be there in maybe, I don't know, 2 years. It would take me 3 years, but I would accomplish that goal. It would take me twice as much, but how I said, if you move the chess pieces, everything falls into place, and I believe that you just have to put yourself out there in order to be able to your voice to be heard. Because if you don't speak up, then you're not gonna move anywhere. You have to like take that step, especially being Latino. People are not gonna walk up to you because they're gonna be like, oh, those stereotypes, Latino, probably construction worker. You have to like put yourself out there. You have to make an impression in order to be able to be seen. So I don't think it's gonna make it hard. I would just have to work twice as hard.
Okay. Is there anything else you would like to talk about?
Well, not a lot. It's just respect and patience to one another.
Okay. And if anyone were to be listening to this interview right now, is there any advice you would like to give them?
Don't settle for the average. Always go for the best. It's like, don't be like, oh yeah, I bought a car. It's like, you bought a car, but what else can you get? What more can you go? Like, how high can you raise the bar? It's like one person can be like, this is how high I raised it. You be like, I'll raise it this much. But always don't get too caught up in like the materialistic stuff. Always keep grounded where you come from and where your struggle has been, and most important, family. Always, keep yourself grounded, but always don't settle for the standard. Always raise the bar, but just keep your feet grounded.
Okay. Right. Thank you, Emmanuel.
Thank you, Vero.